Time now for a little but first. And Nick, you're talking Dr. J, throwing some shade at your guy LeBron.
All right, so listen. I love Julius Erving. He is the 12th greatest player in the history of basketball. And remember that number, it'll matter in a moment. But he laid out his first and second All-NBA teams historically. And he left LeBron out. And I would have let it go because, listen, the youngest person on his first team is Oscar Robertson, and the youngest person on his second team is Michael Jordan. So there's clearly some era bias. But he says he left him out because it is LeBron James who created the player-created super team. So for the audience and for my dear, hopefully one day friend Julius Erving, a quick history lesson. Dr. J was the greatest player in ABA history, won a bunch of MVPs, won a bunch of titles. Then he comes to the NBA in 1977. He's immediately amazing, gets to the finals, but can't win the title because his teammates aren't good enough. Bill Walton and the Blazers beat him. In 1980, he is back in the finals. He averages 26, 7, and 5. But they can't win because the Lakers are too good. In 1981, he wins league MVP. Gets to a Game 7 against Bird's Celtics. They lose by 1 because his teammates are not good enough. In 1982, he is back in the finals. And they lose to the Lakers again. So what happened in 1983? The 12th greatest player teamed up with the 13th greatest player of all time, Moses Malone, to instantly create the greatest team ever. The 83 Sixers damn near swept their way through the playoffs, got back to the Lakers, and beat them in 4. So Julius, my dear friend, maybe had, LeBron James had a time machine and got to you in 78, you'd have 3 or 4 NBA rings. Because it wasn't your fault you weren't winning titles. You didn't have the help, my man. So just a quick history lesson for Dr. J and for America about the actual history of super teams.
This is excellent.
I'm sure he'll thank you, Nick.
Great.
Try to get a handwritten note. That
No
was
problem.
Wonderful.
I'm here for him.
Hey, guys. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones has been rumored to, let's say, be very high on tight end Kyle Pitts in the upcoming draft. Likes the kid. Decent talent. High ceiling. A lot of upscale. Infatuated with him? No. He's interested in, but infatuated? No. Crazy, said Jerry Jones yesterday. Infatuated? That is total exaggeration, he said. He said, we're not going to spend a ton of money to move up and get Kyle Pitts in the draft tomorrow. We have needs. We're going to address those needs. Let's not get crazy. Not infatuated with Kyle Pitts. Now, by the way, here's Jerry Jones last week talking about his recent chat with Kyle Pitts.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I'm excited to have you come into this league. And, man, what a pair up we could do with old Dak Prescott, some of those guys that we've got out there of options to get you the ball. So we can dream of visions of sugar plums around here.
Jerry Jones, just to recap, thinks with his head, not his heart. Also, sugar plums. There you have it. There you have Jerry Jones.
I love the Christmas music. Oh, Pioneer League, independent baseball league. So you know what's not too fun and takes a lot of time and messes up your whole night schedule? Extra innings. We're going to do away with extra innings. Guess what we're going to replace it with? Something that everyone loves, the Home Run Derby. How's it going to work? Glad you asked. Here's what the Pioneer League wrote in the release. In this new format, each team would designate one player to receive 5 pitches in a sudden death home run duel. The release does not specify who would be throwing the pitches via Steve Adams. Okay, it's the last part that I think is super interesting, and it gives hope to every terrible, terrible pitcher. Because if this comes true, this means there will be one designated roster spot on each team for perhaps the worst pitcher in the world who just every pitch just gives up a home run. So to all those terrible pitchers out there who are struggling in high school, struggling in college, even if you're a wiffle ball pitcher giving up bombs, you have a chance. If you're good enough or bad enough at anything in this world, someone will pay you for it. In this case,
that's a great take.
That's great. Time for Drawing a Blank now. According to Fox Bet, the Jaguars are co-favorites to land Julio Jones if the Falcons pull the trigger on a trade. We're hearing they've been getting a lot of calls on him, and wouldn't that be a nice little welcome gift for Trevor Lawrence? So, Brandon, the Jags trading for Julio would have Trevor feeling blank.
It should have him feeling nervous, because if you're smart, then you know Julio Jones doesn't want to go to Jacksonville. Why would Julio Jones want to go to Jacksonville? Look, I'm from Orlando. You know, I've been there for a very long time. Got a lot of friends from Duval. But if you Google top cities in the United States, they're not top 20. They're not top 30. And then also, you know, as an aging player, there's a few things you're looking for. Championship and money. Well, money, he has the money. He's been making a lot of money for a long time, and he'll continue to do that wherever he goes. And then championship, you have no opportunity to win a championship. To me, that should be the only thing on Julio Jones' mind, or top of mind, is where can I go now to solidify my legacy and win a championship? And I just don't see that happening in Jacksonville. So Trevor Lawrence should be nervous, Nick, because he'll have a wide receiver there in the huddle knowing, like, man, he really doesn't want to be here. He don't want to play with me. So nervous.
Listen, while all of us agree with you that when you Google top American cities, Jacksonville is not listed, the rest of your commentary I have to take slight issue with. If Trevor Lawrence is the next John Elway generational prospect, then they become a contender by getting him. And while Julio, it might not be at the top of his list, I don't think Atlanta's going to trade him somewhere that he says, I won't report to. So if this were to happen, then he must sign off on it. I said he should feel elated if this happens, not only because Julio's great, but Julio is the exact type of receiver a young quarterback would want. No diva to him, a great team guy, and a great leader for the entire wide receiver room. It's very hard to find another receiver in the league that would be better to fit with a young star rookie quarterback.
Well, let me ask you a question.
So for all those reasons, yes, please, ask away. What up, Brandon?
How many more years does Julio have left in him? So he's going to go there and wait for Trevor Lawrence to develop? Like, we don't know if Trevor Lawrence, we know his upside, we know his skill set, but that could take years, Nick. So how many more years do you think Julio has in him?
Oh, let's say Julio's got 4 more years. I guess I would say, with the way I look at Lawrence, I think in today's NFL, year 2, these guys can compete for Super Bowls. Year 2, Mahomes won the MVP. Year 2, Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl. Year 2, we saw Andrew Luck's team win 11 games. Like, I think year 2, you're ready to win, Wilds, if you're as good as people say Trevor Lawrence is.
See, my original answer, Nick, was best in the division. I was like, oh, probably better than Carson Wentz and T.Y. Hilton, and probably better than A.J. Brown and Tannehill. But after hearing Brandon, who dabbles in multiple things, dabbles in a little supplements, a House of Athlete, dabbles in podcasts, dabbles in being a football analyst on this show, also dabbles in being a terrible reporter. Not because the facts are terrible, but he like hides his reporting. So when he says things like, I know people and I've heard things, and Julio Jones doesn't want to go to Jacksonville, okay, I don't think this is happening anymore, courtesy of Brandon, one of the foremost football journalists in America.
It's a great take.
Who doesn't know it? That's what you forgot. He doesn't know it.
No.
He'll spend 4 hours talking to Julio, and then there you go. No, it's great. Let's talk more about the draft now. Heisman winner Devontae Smith continued to defend his slender frame yesterday. He said, quote, hey, we're not weightlifting. We're not bodybuilders. Brandon, Devontae Smith's response to all the talk about his weight is blank.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I love this. It sounded like it came from a savvy veteran, you know, that understands the media and how to approach it, you know, and listening to this dude, man, it just makes all the sense in the world, because he's right. You know, LeVar was on the show last week and he talked about, well, you're 166 pounds and, you know, that's just going to, you know, be brutal for his body, etc. Well, there's a lot of guys that's 250 pounds, 300 pounds in the National Football League who come in, who look like Tarzan.